Hey guys, Lindsay here at Saddle Up. So today I have my three horses here at the shop with me. Every spring I bring them in and I have the owner, Dana, she's going to be joining us, check all of my saddles before the competitive season really starts. So we're going to go through kind of a live, raw action saddle fit appointment, the questions that she would ask, the areas that she looks for and checks, some of the issues with my own saddle fit, and just go through kind of a quick video on how we do our saddle fitting appointments and how we assess different things. So we're going to look at each of my horses, show some conformation, pictures of them. I'm going to go through questions that we ask our clients just to get some backstory and info on the horses, and we will just dive in and take a look. So, during a typical appointment, we ask a lot of questions. We want to know the horse's age, backstory, use, and if there's any notable issues going on as far as soreness, behavioral, or whatever it may be. So, this horse is 13, he's a rope horse, and there's no notable issues.
Hi guys, I'm Dana Golden, owner of Saddle Up. I'm here with Striker and Lindsay, and we are going to check Lindsay's saddle. So the first thing that we want to do, we always look for that strong edge of the scapula. So we've got it right about here. I want to make sure the front edge of the concho is right at that back edge of the scapula. That allows, if you've got that edge of the bar, and this is the shoulder, that's what allows that shoulder to move through and back. So as most people do, they do know to check your slide coming down through the shoulder. Saddle fit goes way beyond that. That is one small little check. The next thing I want to do is take my hand straight up into the bar. The bars of the saddle run all the way through concho to this back concho. So I take my hands up in there and I'm going to run them all the way across, and I'm looking for a solid, nice, even pressure. Some of the notorious spots are to have more pressure in through here. A lot of the saddle makers still have just a very narrow back gullet hole. So I'm going to make sure there's no pressure here. I want to make sure that I have a nice smooth contact through the center of the saddle. And I also want to make sure that as I'm coming out the back, there is not a lot of pressure. That same slide that I felt at the shoulder, I want to feel it coming out the back side of the saddle. So here I go. This is sometimes a tricky area. I've got the weight of this heavy all-around saddle, so I can feel that on the back of my hand, but in no way, shape, or form does it prohibit me sliding through. You do need nice, even contact. A lot of times people think, oh, well, I need to be able to get a lot of room in there. The problem with that, if it's not sitting down and making contact, when you go to cinch up, that saddle's going to want to pop up in the back and tilt down in the front. So it's actually good to have that nice even pressure right in here. I do feel just a little bit of pressure right in through here. It's good in the center. And then I have a nice slide out the back. So one misconception is when you feel one side, you assume that the other side is going to feel the same. Horses can be very different from one side to the other. They have a more dominant side. So we turn this handsome guy around and we're going to feel this side. So I again come down at the shoulder. Everything feels really nice in through there. I'm going to come up underneath. This side, I actually have a really nice slide through there, so it's not tight at all. So that tells me his other side's is more dominant side. And then beautiful slide out the back. So a few years back, Lindsay started using the impact gel pads. Her horses would fluctuate a little season to season, coming out of winter weight, getting tone into performance time. So the impact gel seems to help smooth out those rough edges. When you put a pad on, it should not change the angles, because when we're doing saddle fit, we're trying to match the angles of the saddle. Your front gullet, your back gullet hole, in the center of the saddle, which is where it's how much rock is in the saddle or how straight the bar is. And then the twist in the back. Do we have a narrower loin? Do we have a bigger loin? So we're trying to fit all those areas. This was the side that was just a little tight. Once we put the pad on, it gives a little lift, but I'm still a little tight at the very tip of the bar. I have several different shims with me. Normally, in the shim pads, they do call them pressure relief pads because that is the goal, is to alleviate any pressure points in the horse. If there's a void, you can shim, but if there's already tightness, it's really hard to shim. So this is a 1/2 inch shim, this is a 1/4 inch, and this is an 1/8 inch, and we do use all these shims. Typically, I'll go to the 1/4 is the most popular. Very rarely do we use the full 1/2 inch shim. But what I'm doing this time is I'm actually going to put it here on the bottom of the bar. So that way it gives a little fill in to the very bottom angle. And that way it'll help alleviate some of the pressure here. So I'm just going to put that right underneath, just like that. Come up. And then I get that nice slide going right through there. And all the way out the back.
This horse is 13, is a barrel horse, and no notable issues.
Okay, now we're here with Spider, her rock star barrel racing horse. Again, just making sure that we get that back edge of the scapula right with the front edge of the concho. I'm going to look for a nice slide. That is absolutely beautiful. I can still feel it on the back of my hand. You want to be able to feel it making contact in there. I am going to come up into that concho all the way across. And a nice slide out the back. One thing I will add, if a back is too wide, you'd be able to get a couple fingers in there, just like I was saying, if it's too wide in the front, you can get a couple fingers in there. The problem with if it's too wide in the back, when you go to sit in the saddle, it's going to want to tilt that saddle down and raise it in the front. This one, I'm like perfect, just sitting here making great contact. Again, if you check one side, you've got to check the other. So we're looking for this beautiful, luscious mane. We come right down through there. Feels awesome. Up into there, all the way across and through, and a really nice slide out the back. So when Lindsay first got Spider, we did a saddle fit. About 1.5 years, they did great in the saddle. She started to have a little bit of behavioral changes. So she told me I needed to check her saddles again. This girl could do it herself in her sleep, but I appeased her. We checked the saddle. I told her it's fitting from here forward perfectly, but it had gotten really tight in the loin. So Spider's motor had filled out. He'd gotten a little broader back in through there. We found this saddle for her with that perfect fit all the way through. When she went home that afternoon, she told me that she actually cried in her saddle because she went to back up Spider and he backed up like a dream. He'd been fighting her for about 2-3 months. Every time she went to back up, he was shaking his head, just getting real fussy. Once we got that loin area fixed, then he was perfect.
This horse is 7. He is a barrel horse. There's no notable issues except he has grown and changed pretty significantly, so had a suspicion that his saddle was not fitting anymore.
This is Lindsay's newest addition. She's had disco for a couple of years. We originally fit, this is the Galaxy Wide. The other one was the Galaxy Extra Wide. So I've got, again, a nice slide in the shoulders. I'm going to come up in through here. I am tight right here, like pretty darn tight. Come up. I'm tight in here.
Oh, buddy.
I am tight, 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 tight in here, and pretty tight back in here. Okay, so we went and grabbed Lindsay's extra wide Galaxy. The first one we tried was the wide. So a little smoother coming in through the shoulder. I definitely have much better room in through here. I get a little bit of pressure right here, loosens up, and then in the back, we've got a little loss of contact back here. In order to get a saddle to sit level, sometimes you're trying to match up this angle, this angle, this angle. So sometimes if we just have a little loss of contact, I will do a little shib back in here just to get, again, that saddle to sit level. If there's a void, you can shim. If it's already too tight, you can't. Once the head went up, this really
Quit, buddy.
this really sat down nicely, but we do want them to not carry their head high. So there you go. The one thing I forgot to say through this whole process is making sure that they are standing nice and square, and then making sure as you're checking the saddle fit that all legs are staying on the ground, we're not cocking a leg, and staying as square as possible. But again, what we check on one side, let's check on the other. So really nice slide coming down through there, and then good all the way through. So this side fits really nicely. The other side, we just get a little bit of pressure right in that front area. So this is a diamond wool shim pad. As I mentioned, they call them pressure relief pads. I like the idea of calling it a pressure relief pad better than a shim pad, because that is the whole goal, is to alleviate pressure. The diamond wool pads, they come with a 1/2 inch shim. Most of the time, I do find that that 1/2 inch shim is just far too thick. So we buy rolls of 1/4 inch felt and we make our own 1/4 inch shims. A lot of times, if you're having to use a 1/2 inch shim, then the foundation of the saddle just isn't right for that horse. The biggest thing that I see is people will use this full shim in the front. What I usually do in the front is I'm going to cut it back so it sits right behind that strong edge of the scapula, and we're filling in that hollow behind the shoulder. So again, calling them pressure relief, if you take that shim and you fill it in here, all that tightness that you were feeling on the tip of the shoulder, this helps alleviate the pressure, because nature is going to do its thing and it's going to pull down and just feel really heavy on that shoulder. So we take these shims, we cut them back, stick them here, make sure again that it's lined up just at that back edge, and then you're filling in the hollow behind the shoulder. That can alleviate a ton of pressure right on that scapula. Sometimes we'll have some very hollow, older, atrophied horse. That's when you would use a center shim. I don't mind a little bit of bridging in the center if you don't have a lot of pressure here and here. But if you have a really big hollow and there's nothing that's going to have that much rock to the bar, then we may need to shim in here. Often I will again pull out that 1/2 inch shim, and I'm going to replace it with a 1/4 inch shim. So we put that in the center. Like I was talking about with Lindsay's horse, if you have, if you're trying to match up angles, sometimes I get a very narrow withered horse and a super big rump in the back. So you're trying to match those angles, but the saddles, they come pretty standard. So sometimes you can't match up all those angles. And if you have a big broad horse in the front, but their rump isn't completely filled out or super big, sometimes we need to do a little fill back here. Again, keeping that saddle to sit level. So if you're losing contact at the very back of the saddle, you don't want it to sit down and pop the saddle up in the front. So that is when I would use just a small shim in the back. These are the 1/2 inch shims, but I've actually done down to an 1/8 of an inch shim in the back, and it makes a huge difference in just keeping everything level.
Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. So today we went over a few different things. We went over kind of a live or a raw saddle fit appointment. It was a little bit different being that it was my horses, so there might be some different circumstances when a client comes, but those are all the steps that we go over. Dana evaluated all 3 of my horses with all 3 of their saddles. We worked through some issues, described the main areas to check or where we see a lot of issues coming from. We went over some different padding options if that is an option for you. It's not always, but sometimes just something to look at. We are going to upload a confirmation picture of each one of these horses because they are very different, but it can help sometimes with visual aspects. We also went over our pressure relief pads, or how we tackle conformational issues like atrophy, sway back, if there's, like Dana was saying, a super narrow front but a really wide back, or whatever it may be, because horses are made very uniquely and in their own way. So it is kind of a challenge, but we showed you how to sort of tackle that, or how we tackle it during an appointment. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or video ideas, be sure to comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.